Dodge this.
If someone had said to you in December that by April, millions of people all over the world would be infected with a mysterious new virus that has no vaccine, you'd think they were talking about a Hollywood script. It's happened so fast, it almost doesn't seem real.
Breaking developments in the coronavirus pandemic. The death toll rising in the U.S., more than 60 dead.
Doctors on the front lines in Italy with an ominous warning tonight, calling this the apocalypse and telling the world to get ready.
Well, most of us have never lived through anything like this.
No one is immune to the COVID-19 virus. It threatens all of us.
Now imagine a world where mass outbreaks of deadly diseases are commonplace. Well, it sounds scary, but that might not be too far off. The World Health Organization has warned in a BBC interview that we're entering a new phase where such a reality is, quote, a new normal.
As the coronavirus pandemic brings life across the country to a grinding halt, Americans are facing a new normal.
It is a new normal that we all have to get used to.
I know a big question, Tom, from a lot of New Yorkers. When might we ever get back to normal? The governor talked today about working toward a new normal.
So we're going to a different place, which is a new normal.
This morning, almost 40 million Californians waking up to a new normal.
Social distancing at schools and businesses.
You may be having dinner with a waiter wearing gloves, maybe a face mask. Dinner where the menu is disposable, where your temperature is checked before you walk in.
A new normal that will hopefully allow America to reopen.
And looking forward into this next phase of reopening and establishing some kind of new normal.
Embrace the new normals of social distancing and sheltering in place, all the physical isolation.
Now masks are becoming the new normal.
What do you think? Can schools operate under social distancing guidelines? And is that what they're going to potentially have to do as the new normal?
When we get out of the sort of new normal and get to a new normal.
Just trying to cope with the new normal. This is the new normal.
Imagining or reimagining what society is going to look like when they reopen. If you want to go to a restaurant, you're going to have your temperature taken before you're allowed inside to dine. So that's just possibly going to be the new normal that we see down the road.
Adjust our lives and get ready for the new normal.
This new normal is going to look very, very different.
A stepwise return to not normal, but a new normal.
Long lines for food becoming a new normal.
The community's return to normal, or the new normal, on what that may be.
The coronavirus pandemic has meant not only online classes, but having to watch their job and internship offers go down the drain. So what is the new normal like for the class of COVID-19? There will be a new normal. We just don't know what that new normal is yet.
So a return to normal as we knew it is not on the cards in the near future. And it is really important that I am upfront with you right now about that. What we will be seeking to do is find a new normal.
Get out of the lockdown and return to what will, by the way, be a new normal. It's not going to be the normal we experienced before the virus took hold.
Can I say this is likely to be the new norm?
We will be having to live in a new normal, as we were trying to say, with this virus.
We keep talking about this is the new normal. I'm just curious, when can we expect life to go back to the true normal? You know, when is this expected to peak? Do you guys have some sort of timeline or estimate in mind? Or
So, as I have repeatedly said, this is our new normal.
If we are going to be able to move ahead into our new normal, we will find our new normal in the coming weeks.
To make sure that we can do everything we can to flatten the curve so that we can return not to the old normal, but to a new normal that allows us to function more and more openly as a society.
We can continue to improve how we work and play in this new normal. All of us should be able to name all the people we've been in close contact with over the last 2 weeks as a new normal.
Get New Brunswick back to the new normal.
Because that really is going to be part of our new normal moving forward. So these are all elements of our new normal.
We will transition into the new normal.
What we consider normal before COVID-19 is still a long way from returning.
Our lives are changing and about to change in a very significant way. But the thing that we called normal, our old normal, was just the new normal for people who are older than us. And this new normal that is so shocking for all of us is just the normal of future generations. I don't mean future generations 50 years from now. I mean people who are born 5 years from now.
The best hope of getting back to normal as soon as possible is never getting ahead of where we are right now.
So it's not going to be returned to normal. People will have to realize this is not going to go away anytime soon, and we're going to have to keep this up. If you think that this is going to be going back to normal in July, think again.
This will be the new normal until a vaccine is developed.
What it's going to take for all of us to be able to return to normal.
The only thing that will really allow life as we once knew it to resume is a vaccine.
It won't go back to normal in some very rapid fashion.
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has continued the fight against coronavirus, investing billions of dollars on the construction of factories working to develop a COVID-19 vaccine.
And it won't be normal until we get an amazing vaccine to the entire world.
And I know that we are all eager to get back to work and get back to normal. But the reality is, we have to remember that until we find a vaccine for this terrible virus, until we have that vaccine, letting our guard down means potentially exposing millions of our people to the virus. The hard fact is, until we find a vaccine, going back to normal means putting lives at risk.
Until we get almost everybody vaccinated globally, we still won't be fully back to normal.
It means zero tolerance. So every time we see a case, we basically pounce on it. We do everything we can then to shut it down and to eliminate it when it arises. And we will have to keep doing that on an ongoing basis. And yes, until a vaccine arises.
You know, it's so important to get not just hundreds of millions, but literally billions of those vaccines, because this is a global problem.
We can anticipate that we will continue like this for some time until an effective vaccine is widely available.
We want to get into this semi-normal phase as soon as we can, and then the vaccine is the thing that will change things.
I think even after we're through this first wave, we will need to remain vigilant, and we will need to bring in different measures. Normality, as it was before, will not come back full on until we get a vaccine for this. And as you say, that could be a very long way off.
So March 2017 in the White House. In both of those two meetings, he asked me if vaccines weren't a bad thing, because he was considering a commission to look into ill effects of vaccines. And somebody, his name is Robert Kennedy Jr., was advising him that vaccines were causing bad things. And I said, no, that's a dead end. That would be a bad thing. Don't do that.
Like, large public gatherings may not resume until broad vaccination has taken place.
The way we go back to the way we were before is going to take time. We won't be completely safe until we have a vaccine.
Into whatever semblance of normalcy the new normal will provide over the course of the next few months, as we all look forward to the moment where we have herd immunity and or a vaccine.
The problem many school administrators have is that they can't give a guarantee to parents right now that their kids would be safe going back into the classroom. And until there's a vaccine and testing, they're making plans instead to continue remote learning.
All of this while the world awaits a vaccine and faces the reality that even with one, our lives will never be the same.
Legislative amendments that would make vaccinations mandatory for public school students unless they have a medical exemption. Religious and philosophical exemptions would no longer be allowed.
A lot of it depends on having a vaccine, and that's what's going to protect us the most.
We need to start thinking about what our new normal will look like over the coming months. With no vaccine for this virus likely to be available for a year or more to protect the population, we need to protect each other.
This could easily go on a couple of years, waxing and waning.
Dr. Peter Hotez is a vaccine scientist at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. He believes governments need a strategy for how daily life will operate for the next 2 years. Yes, 2 years. That's the length of time it could take to develop, test, and distribute a vaccine once the surge in cases is over. Dr. Ali Muqdad worked to develop the pandemic models used by the White House.
So until we have a vaccine, our definition of normal should be totally different from what normal is.
Almost every expert agrees a vaccine is the fastest, safest way to get our world back, even if it means a year or more of waiting. Until that happens, we're stuck in a cat and mouse game with something that can't be seen or detected until it's too late.
The thing that'll get us back to the world that we had before coronavirus is the vaccine and getting that out to all 7 billion people. Well, I think everyone's life is completely disrupted. You know, your normal pattern of go to meetings, watch sports events, this thing, in my lifetime, this is the most dramatic thing. I still find it shocking how tough it is and how hard it's going to be to get back to the normal life that we had before.
Do you think things will go back to normal, or is that all changed?
No, once you have a safe and effective vaccine and get that out to almost all of the people on the planet and build the preparatory systems for the next pandemic so you can nip it in the bud, we will go back to normal and economies will recover.
In the long run, the exit from this is going to be one of two things, ideally. One of which is a highly effective vaccine, and there are a variety of ways vaccines can be deployed. They can be deployed for damping down epidemics, they can be deployed to protect vulnerable people.
We're living very, very different lives until there's a vaccine.
However, this doesn't mean we will go back to normal.
We are not going to be back to normal until we have a vaccine. I just got to be straight with the people of Idaho.
Because the virus in one form or another will be with us for a long time until there's a vaccine at least.
The coronavirus.
What we want to do is be able to prevent the disease, and the way to do that is through a vaccination.
Now, until we have a COVID-19 vaccine, workplaces are going to look much different.
The virus still remains and will remain until doctors and medical experts find an approved treatment and develop a vaccine.
If folks get out of this finally one day and we begin to open things up, or then finally get to a place where the vaccine and completely open up,
there will be no normalcy as we knew it in the past until we have a vaccine or herd immunity.
The vaccine is critical because until you have that, things aren't really going to be normal. They can open up to some degree, but the risk of a rebound will be there until we have very broad vaccination.
Because I talked to Bill Gates the other day, and he was saying that it could be June before anybody is having any sense of normalcy. And I don't even know what normalcy means. I mean, normalcy is, we're not going to be normal again for a long time.
No, we're not until we have herd immunity or vaccine. I mean, here's what the new normal may look like. Every establishment you go to, you've got a mask on, your temperature is taken. When you walk into that establishment, it has half the number of aisles that it used to have. If it's a restaurant or a bar, half as many seats than it used to have. Your waiter may come over with gloves. You may have a menu that's disposable. There is nothing normal about that until we get the kind of therapeutics and ultimately get to the herd immunity.
I'm struck, Bill, by when you were talking about the phases, the semi-normal phase that you spoke of, that sounded like months and months of that. If a vaccine is still not until 2021, that's many, many months of this new normal.
That's right. It's almost certainly over a year where large public gatherings likely won't be taking place. We're likely to be using masks. Even in restaurants, there'll be some degree of spacing.
If we do not have a vaccine, can I sit next to somebody in a movie theater? Can I go to a basketball game?
It depends whether the virus is spreading in your community. If it is, no basketball games. No way.
The Prime Minister has said previously that he doesn't think Canada will be able to return to full normalcy until there is a vaccine.
On the issue of the vaccine, which you've said in the past could take a year to 18 months,
Will we have to wait for a vaccine to hug our family and friends who are outside of our bubble?
Look, what you're dealing with now is a case of tyrannical power, the kind of power that could bring 2 buildings down in an hour and knock a third one down to the ground by the afternoon. Give you no answers, but tell you the movie's coming out soon, and then tell you some Arabs that just finished cutting the boxes and decided to take some planes full of passengers.